ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me voice. I would today talk about advances of anaerobic digestion, basing on article of Professor Chikawa, characteristics of substrate used for biogas production in terms of water content. The work was written in Fermentation, the recent number, from published in 9th of May. The reason of the work is that in climate change it needs to replace our conventional fossil fuels and use more water more wisely, because we use too much water and too much water we waste, making that some areas like Spain have serious drainage, a serious lack of water. In Poland, in some areas, it happens also, causing that, especially in summer, the very low level it is, and more trouble is in some Africa regions. And water needs to be to our renewable ways to find the method that not only will be efficient for production and safety, but also quite efficient in recycling water used. In case of biogas, it is the first step which changes the waste into methane if unstopped, usually. The kind of anaerobic digestion is dark fermentation, but this article which stops on hydrogen production in acids. According to Chikawa, the big advantage is that uses biogas quite big conversion, especially in combining with other processes that lower rate hydrogen production, like natural dark fermentation, and gives high conversion enough for be suitable for chemical industry or dairy reef. The first is trying to say what kind of waste are fine for using. The Professor Chikara gives that are two methods: how to find mixed with several, not very often occurring, only sometime periodic, and always common. For example, in case of moderate climate, where we have 4 seasons, every autumn falls some trees leaves, and this can be used as main component of biogas. And this needs to be designed to change according to changing the season, to changing substrate, and making the composition efficient enough and to keep stable production of methane. Another is that we have sometimes bigger, in case of Greek, for example, when we have olive pruning, we have much olive tree waste or tea leaves in case of India. Thus, it is very important to use this changing biomass to make more industrial way of biogas. According to this, professor in Iran, Professor Professor Nothen and compose that biogas plants are process that is supplementary to gas power plants, Professor Ahmadi. And in this case of Professor Chekawa also mentioned about this, that needs to replace and request some natural gas power can be partly used to moderate, and transfer this powering plant of gas installation into the more biomass, more green sources. So this should be the idea, is to replace existing from conventional method into renewable. The advantage of this using is that usually such power plant, especially coal plant, after using the places where it was burning the coal, are usually due to high residence of radiative carbon C313 cannot be used other way, so that replacing it by planting and transferring into biogas and natural, it's a very good idea to manage area of power plants. Therefore, we can't use these biogas plants and infrastructure nearby with which improvement and all different biomass feeds, and also with combination of, for example, algas and dark fermentation microbial cell, make this efficiently and use current way. It's important also to use water, to find that water doesn't require much. And according to work of Professor giving, that water can be used in lower, that according to water, in case of biogas, requires much less water than, for example, pyrolysis or solar plant, because solar plant is some cooling. That other, so it's very clear water saving process of energy production in compared to others. So this is the basic advantage of anaerobic digestion, according to Professor Chekawa, that water use is much less. He gives how is proteins and fat, carbohydrates, and according to his calculation, and mine also, this is the basic of my list about aminoacids, carbohydrates, and fats are going the more methane than carbohydrates. So it's different source that in case that fermentation, which is believed to be to carbohydrates. So both, in case of methane production and hydrogen production, because both hydrogen is in every case endothermic, so not giving out any energy, while in methane production, carbohydrates are exothermic but giving much less energy, much more methane than proteins in the fats. Therefore, we should start. It shows that protein in and waste and fat waste are better for using in biogas. So it should be, as we manage production, we should divide, because products separate, that sugar part of waste could be going to dark fermentation, or other more suitable is mostly to gross methane. So sugars go to dark fermentation and then use as upgrading for biogas would be the most suitable process according to Professor Chikawa. And is using proposed as a good management for Poland to close the loops. Thank you very much for listening.